Namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudire nashtiprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati naistike. So continuing with the discussion on Prabhupada Lilamrita by Satsruta Das Goswami. So Prabhupada is in Vrindavan and talks are going on for him to create a will. While his GBC men discussed privately the details of the will, Srila Prabhupada lay in bed, anxiously concerned about ISKCON's properties. He didn't attempt to eat, and Upendra had to massage his chest. Later that day, while surrounded by a sweetly chanting group of devotees, he again brought up the threat. There is a big plot going on, he began. They are very troublesome. Tamal Krishna, who knew what Prabhupada was talking about, said, "This should be done immediately. Make a trust property." "This shall be done," said Srila Prabhupada. Very nice. What Prabhupada was asking was not unusual, but it had to be done soundly, expertly. And that meant Srila Prabhupada would have to do it himself. He wanted no more management, but could his disciples assure him on this point of greatest anxiety that the institutions, properties, and monies would be protected? So, yes, it was a big concern because we are not as pure as Prabhupada. So when money comes, buildings, money, followers, power, position, then devotees do get distracted. They get affected by that. And it has happened. It's not like it didn't happen. It has happened. Even in ISKCON it has happened. So to protect that, the will, a trust, it has to be named. In fact, that should be done by everybody, not just by institution. In family life also, it should be done so that there's no fighting after the person leaves. Tamal Krishna spoke up to assure Prabhupada of the GB's competence to deal with this. This shall be done for all the properties, he said, but especially here in India. Srila Prabhupada said, Bhavanand Goswami, the trustees should be designated. Trustees without designation, Prabhupada replied, where is trustee? I've already made one draft of trustees, so the book trust. In that style, make it. Yes, said Tamal Krishna. So book trust, Bhaktivedanta book trust. So that is another trust that's separate from ISKCON. And just to make sure Prabhupada's books and Prabhupada's, at that time, future books, everything is kept intact. Yes, said Tamal Krishna. So we'll make up a draft on that style. And after the draft is approved, you can tell us which trustees you want. Oh, you can select among yourselves, said Prabhupada. Why are you taxing me? When Tamal Krishna mentioned that the three places in India, Bombay, Vrindavan, and Mayapur, were the most important, Srila Prabhupada replied, everywhere. Then he added, among yourselves, there is no strong man. That's the difficulty. That's a fact, admitted Tamal Krishna. All my child, said Srila Prabhupada, a statement of love, but not of relief. And it requires a very strong man. That is lacking. In every minor detail, I have to open my mouth. Anyway, whatever you have got, sit down and select trustees. And that format is there. Make it a trust. Among you, Rameshwar is little intelligent. Anyway, do your best. Otherwise, there is a very, very big undercurrent. They're waiting for your program. Very, very big undercurrent. Means the devotees were ready to take over the property. They were just waiting for Prabhupada to leave. Tamal Krishna assured Prabhupada that they would immediately have a meeting. We will discuss these points. Oh, discussion I've already given you, said Prabhupada. Do it. What I meant, said Tamal Krishna, is we will execute it. All right, said Prabhupada, don't delay. At times like this, it became especially clear that the day was approaching when Prabhupada's children would have to grow up and lead, manage, protect, and expand his society on their own. These might well be their last chances to learn directly from him and to be close with him for chanting the holy name and dedicating themselves utterly to carrying out his desires for ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada seemed to be doubting whether his children would rise to the occasion, and that expressed doubt impelled them not to discouragement but to determined action to prove themselves loyal and competent. That evening, a GBC committee reported back to Srila Prabhupada that the will had been drafted with provisions for the protection of all ISKCON properties through specified trustees. Rameshwar read the will before Prabhupada, who made only a few comments. This will make it impossible for anyone to cheat, said Rameshwar. Yes, Prabhupada agreed. As far as I can see, even regarding matters of utmost concern to him, he sometimes remained quiet. He had directed his GVC men as far as possible. Now he mostly wanted the medicine of the holy name. But what they had done was all right, and he was satisfied. As the committee was leaving his room, he softly exclaimed, Jai, future directors of ISKCON. In later, when alone with his servants, he shed tears and said he could now live peacefully. Although the will was not registered yet, but still, Prabhupada had satisfaction. A few days later, the final version of the declaration of will was notarized in the presence of a lawyer. The document began. The governing body commission, GVC, will be the ultimate managing authority of the entire International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and went on to cover all the points of concern regarding ISKCON properties and management. Most of the 23-member GBC body was still gathered in Vrindavan, but the immediate business was completed. Srila Prabhupada's health appeared to be slightly improved, a blessing the devotees and Prabhupada attributed to the constant chanting. Srila Prabhupada even ate and digested some fried food. He also spoke of attempting to resume his early morning translating work. The GBC men, each of whom had pressing leadership and administrative duties within their respective zones, began to feel the need to return to their posts. Aside from their chanting shifts in Srila Prabhupada's room, usually for 3 hours twice a day, they had no other service in Vrindavan. The weather was also unbearably hot, up to 120 degrees. When some of them expressed their plans to return to their areas of work, Prabhupada gave his permission. They had been together for a week, and now, one by one, they began to disperse. Within another week, most of them had left Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada and his small staff remained, and the constant chanting continued, performed by the devotees of the Krishna Balram temple. So, unbearably hot, up to 120 degrees. So, that must be in May, June time. And Prabhupada left his body in November of 1977. So, more things happened between then and November. As June came in Vrindavan, the weather remained very hot. The sky, which had been a clear blue, turned hazy as the first moisture arrived. Between noon and 4 p.m., the ground was too hot for bare feet, and the residents of Vrindavan would stay home, confining most of their activity to either the morning or the late afternoon and evening. Even eating was excluded from the midday since the heat killed the appetite. The Yamuna was shallow and hard, giving little relief. The cows were gaunt from lack of grass and feed, and occasional hard, searing winds raised dust clouds. Flies and mosquitoes died in the air. One of the few pleasant features of summer was the fragrance of bale flowers that climbed along the walls around Prabhupada's garden, sometimes thriving in the dry heat. Yes, bale fruits, bale flowers come during that time and very pleasant for the summer. But yes, the summer in Vrindavan is very, very tough. Here, Maharaj is writing between noon and 4 p.m. Nobody would be outside, but now it has become between 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Nobody goes outside. It is so hot here. In the first days of June, Srila Prabhupada experienced some hope of recovery. He asked to resume his morning rides, and when being brought down to the car, he said, "Soon I will get down and walk myself." His old friend from Allahabad, Mr. Ghosh, came and diagnosed his disease as anxiety for the devotees and the Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada agreed, but he didn't follow the doctor's orders, since they included having his blood pressure checked regularly and taking various medicines and special treatments. But by receiving massages from his servants, he felt he was improving. At this rate, he said, he would be all right after a month and a half. But he stressed, "I'm not leaving Vrindavan until I'm well." So he still wanted to leave Vrindavan and go for preaching, but he's saying, "I'm not leaving until I'm well." One morning, Srila Prabhupada asked to go and see the deities, and his men promptly moved him in his rocking chair before Krishna Balram. Sitting in his chair beneath the tamal tree, Prabhupada looked up at the transcendental brothers, while many tears glided down his cheeks. "They are dressed very nicely," he said. While he basked in the presence of Krishna and Balram, he enjoyed the soothing shade of the tamal tree. "The contractor wanted this tree cut down," he said, "but I would not allow. There are not many tamal trees left. These worldly men do not know." So yet that tree is still there. It's right in front of Radha Shyam Sundar altar. But at that time, only Krishna Balram altar was there, deities were there. Now we have Gaur Nitai, Krishna Balram, and Radha Shyam Sundar. Srila Prabhupada started coming down regularly each morning to see the deities, an event that gradually grew to become a daily temple function involving ISKCON devotees and guests alike. Prabhupada would sit in his rocking chair under the tamal tree, and the devotee would lead kirtan, while Prabhupada and all the other devotees chanted responsively. For Prabhupada's disciples, chanting with him in the courtyard of his temple in Ramanreti, Vrindavan, was the essence of the spiritual world. Yes, we can just imagine what that scene would be. Although Prabhupada's body was apparently sick, he was still as alert as ever. And every morning, he would notice who was there and who was not. The devotees grew to love this special opportunity to associate with Prabhupada as he sat in his rocking chair, gazing at Krishna and Balram. Vrindavan residents and pilgrims would also gather around Prabhupada, often offering money, which they would place at Prabhupada's feet. While the energetic young Gurukul boys danced before Prabhupada, and the pilgrims continuously flowed in and out, offering obeisances and rupees at his feet. And while one of his secretaries fanned him with a large chamar whisk, Srila Prabhupada sat gravely yet simply, with his attention fixed on Krishna and Balram. so, so actually, that's the right way of taking darshan. Attention fixed on Krishna and Balram, and he would not talk, he would just sit there and take darshan of the deities. And of course, not here in Bhagavatam, Prabhupada mentioned that one should start taking darshan from the lotus feet of the deities and then slowly go up, ending at the face of the deities. But at the same time, we should try to remember his 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 clothes, his jewelry that he's wearing, and other paraphernalia that is there. Because that is real taking darshan. Sometimes he would go sit in the private garden adjacent to his main room. A devotee had built a plaster fountain there in the shape of a large pink lotus. And while Prabhupada sat in the little alcove, surrounded by flowering vines, the splashing of the fountain pleased and soothed. An occasional monkey would come over the wall into the garden looking for something to steal, and Prabhupada would have it chased away. Otherwise, he sat silently, conversing only occasionally with one or two disciples. So that alcove is still there, fountain is still there, and the wines, and the whole setting is still there. So um, whenever you go in Prabhupada's quarters, you can go outside and sit and chant. The chairs one can sit and chant on. One day in the garden, Srila Prabhupada was recalling the simple but civilized life he had known as a child. He mentioned the various ceremonies his mother had observed during pregnancy to allay the dangers connected with childbirth. Though his voice was soft and weak, he was still inclined to speak. So much care was taken for the children, he said. Now these rascals are killing children. His abortion is going on. Most civilized life, two-legged animals. Even in these days in India, in the interior villages, their life can be peaceful. They have enough grains, enough milk to live peacefully and chant Hare Krishna. And they're going there to give this sterilization. Srila Prabhupada is referring to Indira Gandhi's policy of compulsory sterilization, Nasbandi, that was going on at that time. See, this is what atheistic program is. They wanted to cut down the population by doing this Nasbandi and forcibly. And in that program, so many people died also. But Nasbandi is not the solution to overpopulation. As Prabhupada said, Krishna can feed 10 times more population. There's no problem for Krishna. Problem is in the lack of Krishna consciousness. And between whatever 1977 and now, population has grown so much, still everybody is being fed. It's not very healthy atmosphere, I'm admitting that. But that's not the way of population control. China had done that one child policy, and now they're regretting that. So that's what Prabhupada said. Most uncivilized life, two-legged animals. And one thing that Prabhupada's mother, as Prabhupada mentioned, the various ceremonies his mother had observed during pregnancy to allay the dangers connected with childbirth. But even after Prabhupada was born, Abhay was born, his mother observed one thing for the protection of Abhay. She used to eat with her left hand. Somebody must have told her. Till she says she had decided, till Abhay grew up and asked, "Why, mother, why do you eat with your left hand? You're righty, you're a right-handed person." So she carried on with this for many, many years. I think Prabhupada was maybe 6, 7, 8 years old when he asked her. And then she stopped. So somebody had told her, if you do that, a child will be protected. But this is the beauty of his mother. Then she just wanted him to be protected, always. Okay, somebody got. One of the devotees present had just come from West Bengal, where he had been traveling on a boat down the Ganges, preaching and distributing prasadam in the villages. Srila Prabhupada began describing to him how in the villages they make a simple bread ball from atta, whole wheat flour, and bake it beside an open fire. The same fire is called khandi fire, using cow dung chips, Prabhupada said. They put one part upon this fire and use it for dal. Then after some time you see if it is boiled, very nice. Then this ball should be cooked in ghee, it will be first class. Yes, this chula cooking goes on here also in Braj. While the fountain splashed gently and the pigeons and green parrots fluttered and chattered, Prabhupada continued to talk freely. He recalled his horoscope at birth. After 70 years, this man will go outside India and establish so many temples. 108 temples, it is said. And this is what he did. He said he didn't understood at first, that he hadn't understood at first, that he would actually have to go. But when he had finally gone to the US, he had had no intention of ever returning, except for the stroke he suffered in the United States in 1967. He said he would not have come back. That means Krishna desired, he said. Otherwise, I had no plan to come back. Therefore, I took this permanent residency. So he had green card of USA. Do you regret having come back to India? Asked Tamal Krishna Goswami. No, said Prabhupada. My plan was like that, to stay, but Krishna's plan was different. When I was coming back in 1970, I was speaking to Dwarkadish, the Krishna deity in ISKCON's Los Angeles temple. I came here to preach. I don't know why you're dragging me back. That was when I was leaving Los Angeles. I was not happy, but he had his plan. So this Prabhupada was standing in front of the Rukmini Dwarkadish altar because there were things happening in LA at that time. And Prabhupada had asked, Tamal Krish Maharaj was a secretary, a servant at that time, and Prabhupada asked him to take him away, take him far. So then they decided to come to India, 1970. And after being in India, then all these issues with Mayapur, Bombay, Vrindavan land, and getting the land, getting the construction, then finally he said, now I understand why you wanted me to come to India. Means, you means Krishna. So Krishna obviously always has a plan, especially for his such pure devotees, surrendered souls. And it just takes time to understand what his plan is and work accordingly. Pretty nice plan, commented Tamal Krishna. Srila Prabhupada continued. Krishna said, come, I'll give you a better place in Vrindavan. You were retired in Vrindavan and I asked you to leave. Now you have to come back, but I'll give you a better place. So he has given me a temple 100 times better than any other place. Is it not so? So yes, he was in Radha Damodar temple in that small room, and now Krishna gave him such a big temple, beautiful quarters that he had, and so many devotees chanting, and deities are there. So we just don't know Krishna's plan. That's all. Anyway, so we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. So at the beginning of the class, we were discussing. Now it is little cold here, not little, lot cold and foggy. Is it okay if we change the time to 8:30 a.m., the starting time to 8:30?
Yes, Prabhuji. Whatever suits you, Prabhuji.
Okay, then. I'll just send a message on the group, although everybody who comes, they are in the class now anyway. But still send a message. So 8:30 will be the time. Okay, you all have
ठीक है
safe.
प्रभु जी
Hare
हरे
Okay.
कृष्णा
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
थैंक यू प्रभु जी हरे कृष्णा
Yes,